Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide in ET Now. On this show, we aim to give you all of the information you need when buying real estate in the country. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to write to us if you have any questions, and you can reach me personally on Twitter. We have a packed show for you today. We'll start by talking about Mumbai's western suburbs. We'll find out if there's any drive at all for property in those areas. We'll also ask our experts to draw up a checklist of things to keep in mind before you sign an agreement with your builder. And we'll talk about investment options in Noida and Hyderabad. All right, joining us on the show today, Ravi Ahuja, Executive Director at Cushman & Wakefield, and Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. Jayashree, thank you so much for coming in. Now, this week, we're going to spend some time talking about Mumbai's western suburbs. Now, we always talk about the east. We talk about Chembur, Wadala, Navi Mumbai, Thane. What's happening between Andheri and Borivali? Over the last decade, the Western Belt has seen a great amount of residential as well as commercial traction. We've also seen some infrastructure development there as well. Let's take a look at the price movements. Avan has the latest on the ground. Avan.
Thanks, Faye. Now, despite a slowdown in the market, property prices in Mumbai's western suburbs have witnessed a smart price rise over the last 2 years. Let's begin with Santacruz West. Homes here are currently quoting at an average of 32,425 rupees per square foot, an increase of 34% in just 2 years. On the other hand, property prices in Andheri East have risen by 26% in 2 years. The homes here are currently quoting at an average of 15,550 rupees per square foot compared to 12,375 rupees per square foot in 2012. Prices in Goregaon West have witnessed a similar up move and are currently quoting at an average of 14,800 rupees per square foot, an increase of 25% in 2 years. Homes in Malad West are currently quoting at an average of 14,925 rupees per square foot compared to 12,275 rupees per square foot, an increase of 22% in 2 years. Home prices in Kandivali West have witnessed a 26% rise in the last 2 years. Currently, property prices here are quoting at an average of 13,250 rupees per square foot, among the cheapest locations in the western suburbs. With that, it's back to you, Phil.
All right, Avan, thank you for that information. Ravi, we keep talking about Chembur, Wadala, Navi Mumbai, Thane, all of these other suburbs. There isn't as much of an infrastructure push happening in the western suburbs. From your point of view right now, when you study Mumbai as a city, what's happening with the west and where does it stack up with the rest of the markets?
See, in the western suburbs, realistically speaking, over the last decade or so, there has been great development and there has been great progress made. But of late, because of the limitation of the sea, which comes on the western side, I think there is not enough land to expand. The east in that sense really is taking Mumbai out of seams in terms of suburban and then peripheral areas right up to Navi Mumbai, Panvel, etc. So we're seeing a lot of new catchment areas coming up in the east, and therefore belts like Wadala and Chembur, which are so very in the city, have been talk of the town, and then the extended suburbs in the east, maybe towards Kanjur Marg or now even Navi Mumbai, with some of the long-term infrastructure projects. Having said that, I think the west is back. There are some large parcels of land which have been recently released. Borivali, Kandivali, Andheri East, which was till today a commercial hub, is seeing some prominent residential development, and thanks to the oversupply kind of commercial market, which is prompting developers to rethink and instead of commercial, develop residential, because the rates are also 30% higher.
So for someone looking to make an investment right now, would you recommend they disregard the western suburbs entirely? So I'm talking about Bandra West, Andheri West onwards, Versova, Malad, all of those areas, and focus rather on the east section, Kandivali East, Andheri East, those areas?
No, I'm not saying that. Clearly the west, in parlance, when you compare to the east, has always been regarded as upper image, image conscious, kind of population that lives there. Having said that, this is changing with the working population. We've seen IT developments take shape, and earlier also they did in the Malad Goregaon belt, more towards the west, because these were all link road, with Mindspace, Infinity, those type of projects. But given the price rise in the commercial, from a $1 market, which was earlier 40-45 rupees, now the dollar's moved up. But these markets have become a $2 rent market per month, per square foot, which makes IT companies move out. And we're seeing this shift happen right up to Airoli, if not Vikhroli, with the Godrej's, kind of getting their market share of the ITES. And then you have Airoli and Thane and Navi Mumbai. So the working population in the IT belt has moved there. And therefore, you're seeing demand also take a little bit of a shift.
Well, Jeshri, when you look at the website right now, when we look at that entire stretch of the western suburbs, where are you seeing the most demand and where are you seeing the most supply?
Faye, by demand, I think in terms of demand and supply, there are 5 or 6 areas that stand out on the website. If you look at these are Khar West, Santacruz West, Kandivali West, Andheri East, Goregaon West and Malad West. These are the 5 most supplied, most in demand areas. But when you look at the supply, most of the supply that we have on the website is all 1 BHK apartments, which really means that people are looking at larger apartments but are not finding them. And wherever they are asking for 1 BHK apartment where it's available, those are being picked up. Now, if you look at what kind of rental returns you get, Khar West and Santacruz West are essentially the ones that are giving the best returns. You roughly about 29,000 to about 41,000 is the monthly rental return. But if you look at the other areas that I told you, roughly between 12,000 and 16,000 rupees per month is what you're getting for a 1 BHK unit. So you see, there is a mismatch between supply and demand, but these are all active areas.
Well, Ravi, for someone looking to make an investment right now, would you still point them in the area of Chembur and Wadala? Do you think that if they look hard enough, there are interesting opportunities for someone who has the purse to, maybe buy and rent out across the western suburbs?
No, I wouldn't clearly say that solely look at the east, which is Wadala and Chembur. While that is a growth corridor, growth pocket for reasons we've discussed earlier on your shows, which is social infrastructure as well as some of the infrastructure developments that are taking place, I think there are pockets in, let's say, Goregaon, which make immense sense because the way that market has evolved, and some of the reputed track record developers are launching projects today at quite significantly lower rates. And I think by the time the projects are ready, they will give very, very good upside to the investors. Coming back to your question, the simple answer is be careful where you're going to invest because not all pockets are going to do well. And you may want to take advice where to put your money because some of the pockets have really appreciated and some yet have some steam. So there are pockets like Chembur, Wadala, in my view, will keep doing well 2-3 years. But then pockets like Goregaon seem to be very promising going forward.
So if you're looking to buy a home in locations just discussed, here are some list of options of interesting projects you might want to look at.
If you're looking for a home in Mumbai's western suburbs, here are some investment options. In Andheri, Sevens by Kanakia Group, Woodwind by PR Developers. In Goregaon, Radiance by Kalpataru Group, Suntec City by Suntec Group. In Malad, Exotica Sorrento from Raheja Universal, Avalon Paradise from Maitri Construction. In Kandivali, White City by Rajesh Life Spaces and The Era by Ravi Group.
All right, let's take some questions. Vijayant has written in, he wants to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in Royal Palms in Goregaon with a budget of 35 to 40 lakh rupees. He's concerned about the shortlisted property's valuation in comparison to neighbouring localities. Please help me with my investment decision. That's his question. Jeshri, do you want to help him out right now as far as this particular project is concerned? If you compare it to projects in the neighbourhood, is the pricing fair?
No, it's much lower than the rest of the market. I think the rest of the market is currently at about 16 to 21,000 and he's talking about a 5,000 rupees. We did check out against the markets and we found that this particular project is a little into the future. It's you have to pay a toll going and coming, I believe, and you also have some street lighting problems. As a result, there have been a couple of safety concerns raised, which is probably why it's selling way below the market. And if you're looking at a future investment, you want to stay there in the future, you may still be able to pull it off because I think it will grow as the rest of the area comes along. But otherwise, currently, it is still a difficult market to stay in, and that's probably why it's lower price.
Well, Amit Grover has written and he's interested in buying a 2-bedroom apartment in India Bulls Greens Phase 2, Panvel, Navi Mumbai. Now, he tells us he booked the apartment in June last year at 5,000 rupees a square foot and paid 20% of the total cost. Construction was supposed to start in 4 months. It hasn't right now. He wants to know what sort of returns he can expect from this investment. Now, that property is currently at about 6,000 rupees a square foot, so it's already appreciated from where he bought it. But there are concerns about the pace of construction. What would you tell him right now?
I would say that Panvel as a location is very different from these so-called extended Panvel locations where India Bulls or even Hiranandani's or Hirko have started their projects. Now these are about 10, 12, 13 kilometers away from Panvel station, and therefore I rate them not as Panvel but as probably peripheral areas to even this suburb called Panvel. And therefore, I think if the investor who's looking at either exiting or keeping the investment, over the longer period, if he has 5 to 7 years to hold and he has a deeper pocket to do that, he should hold. But if it's a short term, I think he would be better off exiting and putting in the money in some other project.
It's time for us to take a very quick break, but when we come back, both Jayashree and Ravi are going to stay with us. We'll draw up a checklist to keep in mind before you sign an agreement with your builder, and we'll also answer more questions. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Both Ravi and Jayashree are still with us. And this particular portion of the show, we're starting off to help you with all of the questions you've sent in. Now, once you find the right building and once you do your research and your homework, it's now important to sign the agreement with the developer. Let's talk about what the agreement should have, all of the relevant clauses and the checklist you should keep in mind. Ravi, first of all, if I'm signing an agreement, obviously there's MOFA within the city of Mumbai, but across the country right now, what should I make sure the agreement includes?
MOFA is clearly going to be phased out as and when there'll be the new Housing Regulatory Act, which is already approved by the President, will come into place. And that will protect the buyer's interest to a large extent automatically. But till then, one has to look at, let's say, for example, the breakup of charges, which the gullible buyer sometimes gets caught and does not understand, issues like what are the government levies and taxes on his base price. Sometimes the car parking charges, which he has to pay. There are floor rises and stuff like that. The second most important factor, we always talk about efficiency. For example, carpet area. And now there is a judgment that the developers must make available to the buyer what carpet area he's buying. But essentially prices are a function of something called super built up or built up areas. And therefore that's not gone away except in a few pockets like Bandra, Khar, where you know your carpet area and they're quoting on that. So one has to be cognizant of that. Therefore approved BMC plans to show you your carpet area that you're going to get. And finally, more importantly, the delays, the penalties which developers mutually may agree to. So there's a delay on payment which the buyer will make, and therefore the developer will command or demand a percentage in terms of interest rate. And what if the project gets delayed? And how is the buyer protected? And what will the developer do to make do that delay in terms of interest percentage? So these are some of the points that I feel would be covered in such agreements.
Jayashree, for someone right now looking to sign an agreement with a developer like you have instructed us to do, to go out and cut those deals as soon as possible, what advice would you give us? Does it make sense to just run it by a lawyer, or is there a checklist that you'd like to share as well?
While it is always sensible to run it through by a lawyer, I would add a few more details to what we've just been discussing. One is that you should check that the developer has the permission to build residential units on that land. That is important. The environmental and municipal clearances are something that you can check with the developer. He should be showing you those. Whether the developer has the authority to transfer the undivided share of land to each flat owner, and the entire plot to the society. This is another permission that he should be having in with him, that the builder does not reserve the right on your portion of the apartment, which means the terraces and so on, terraces and balconies. And unless you ask the builder to incorporate all the promised features in the agreement, don't sign, because later you have to check that you have actually been delivered what you have been promised. Most important, he should have a commencement certificate so that he can start the construction.
So if you have any questions about that checklist, you can of course write to us, and it will be our pleasure to send you a copy of that list that both Jayashree and Ravi have put together for us. Let's answer a few more questions. Sunil Nair has written in, he wants to invest in an apartment or in land in Coimbatore with a budget of 11 to 35 lakh rupees. Please give me some options which will offer me good capital appreciation. Jayashree, do you want to take it, Coimbatore?
We ran it through the website and checked. He can get both plots and apartments within his budget. Plot he can get on Avinashi Road, Trichy Road, Karunia and Sulur. These are the places where he can get plots, roughly about 10 to 13 lakh. The sizes are about 1300 to 2600 square feet. There are many developers on the website who have offered options here. If you're looking for an apartment, you can get a 2 BHK apartment in Sarvanampatti, Tudiliyar, Telungu Palayam and Villa Kurichi. I think I pronounced the last one wrong, but it is available on the website. Now, the capital values are roughly about 3200 to 3600 per square foot, and the total value 30 to 33 lakh. You should be able to get your 2 BHK apartment. You would get roughly about a 900 to about 1100 square feet apartment. So both are possible within his budget.
All right, so Villa Kurichi, we have to forgive Jayashree. She is South Indian, but she's been living in Delhi for a very, very long time. I'm going to ask you, Ravi, if he's going to pick between land and an apartment right now in Coimbatore as an investment, which one do you think makes more sense?
No, I think depending on the profile of the user. So if it is land, I would add to what Jayashree said, that there is a DTCP, which is a Directorate of Town and Country Planning Authority, that needs to approve. So only those approved land parcels may be considered to have better title in a market like Coimbatore. And on the resi piece, I think there are pockets which are developing. One such which we researched was a ring road that will eventually connect Sarvanampatti and Kalapatti, with Muthupalayam road. So because of that particular development on infrastructure, I think that particular belt will be a growth belt and a good investment.
All right, let's take a few more questions. Saeed has written in, he wants to invest in either Hudi, or Mahadevpura or KR Puram in Bangalore with a budget of 10 to 25 lakh rupees. Give him a few options. Jayashree, do options exist within those areas at that budget?
Absolutely. I think he has options. Few options. We have only 2 or 3 listings in Madhavpura and Hudi, but in KR Puram we have plenty of options, and 25-26 lakh in KR Puram you should be able to get a 2 BHK apartment of somewhere around 950 to 1200 square feet, and you get a monthly rental return of about 10,000 to 14,000 rupees per month. In Hudi and Mahadevpura we have between 20 to 25 lakh, you should be able to get a few options, not too many, but roughly about 900 to 1000 square feet in Mahadevpura, and Hudi you get about 900 to 1400 square feet. Here also you have rental returns roughly about 11,000 to about 18,000 rupees per month.
All right, Jayashree there with all of the numbers. We're going to take another very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about options in Noida and Hyderabad. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Both of our guests are still with us, and we're answering more of the questions you sent in during the week. Now, if you have a question about buying property, our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, and you can reach me on Twitter as well. Let's take some questions. Nitesh has written in. He's based out of Pune right now, but he wants to buy an apartment in Noida for end use. He tells us his family lives there. He's looking for self-contained options with all of the amenities of swimming pools and clubhouses. Budget of 50 to 60 lakh rupees. Ready by 2015 or 16. Jayashree, are there any options available for him within those specifications?
Yes, Faye, there are options in sectors 120, 137, 76 and 121. Now, you see, while he in 40 to 60 lakh, he should be able to get apartments of about 900 to about 1200 square feet in these areas, and they will be ready by about 2016, end 2016. Rental values of, sector 121 is 5,000 to 15,000 per month, and the others are about 10 to 15,000. Now, remember, these are new developing sectors, so the number of apartments that have come up for rental placements are few. But we did another exercise. We asked our Magic Bricks users to rate these localities on a scale of 5, and most of these have got between 4.5 to 4.8. So, which means that people think that this has long-term potential, and these are they have rated it on safety, cleanliness, connectivity, parking facilities, schools, colleges, proximity, and so on. We also asked, checked out Noida Extension, which is the other area that he has asked for. He can get a 2 to 3 BHK for much lower rates, 20 to 40 for a 2 BHK and 30 to 50 for a 3 BHK, and roughly about 800 to 1500 depending on the configuration of the apartments. Here too, there is a nominal rental value, but I wouldn't put too much credence on it, because these areas, Noida Extension is yet to become livable because it is in the construction stage, and therefore we would say that roughly when you after about 2016, you should be able to get about 8,000-9,000 rupees rental returns.
Well, Tausif has written in. Now, he wants to invest in Hyderabad with a budget of 90 lakh rupees. Give me some options which will yield good rental returns and capital appreciation. 90 lakh rupees, Jayashree, is a lot of money for Hyderabad. Where would you recommend he focus his attention? Gachibowli, Madhapur, or can he now, with that kind of a budget, look inside the city?
No, I would still say that since he's looking for rental returns, I think he would still be better off in the Gachibowli, Madhapur, high-tech city area. Kondapur onwards, I see a lot of options there, and he should be able to get about a 3 BHK apartment of 1,800 to about 3,000 depending on the developer and the property. But you would be able to get 15,000 to 40,000. Depending on what kind of property you have. I would still go with the IT corridors, Faye, because their getting rental returns is very easy when you're very close to a economic hub, and that probably is why I would recommend the IT stretch.
Well, Vishal is looking to buy a 2-bedroom apartment at Kesav Nagar in Pune with a budget of 60 lakh rupees. Now, he shortlisted Eastern Ranges by Fadnis Properties, and he wants to know if that's a good investment option and what sort of returns he can expect over the next 5 years. Jayashree?
Currently, we are looking at about 14 to 15,000 per month as rental return, and capital values in Keshav Nagar is around 4,700 to 5,400. So he's probably closer to the upper end of that limit. So I would say that there is some amount of rental return, but is it the highest return that you can get in Pune city? No, but I think it's good to remain invested in this property. It should be rising.
Well, he hasn't actually bought this investment yet. Would you recommend he goes ahead with it? Are there better options for him in Pune?
No, I think I would recommend this option purely because of the strategic location. It is very close to the Magarpatta city and the Kharadi location. And then again in the vicinity, this is the Mundwa kind of district or Mundwa kind of location, which is a proximity to Kharadi and Magarpatta, which is, IT, destinations. And then the upmarket of Kalyani Nagar also, which is very close by. So to my mind, this is a strategic location. Having said that, the neighborhood is quoting around 6,000, and this is available at 4,200 or 4,500 rupees square feet. There is a bridge which may connect from Keshav Nagar to Kharadi, and that will again, make rental so much more easier to do. I think there is enough, upside by buying in this location.
All right, so 2 thumbs up from both of our experts there. So you can go ahead and buy that project and write back to us if you need anything else. That brings us to the end of Property Guide for this week. Jayashree, thank you so much for coming in and spending time with us, especially with all of the information that you bring in. Ravi, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Write to our guests if you have any issues at all buying property, and you can reach me personally on Twitter. Thanks so much for watching.